Now, if you're time sensitive like I am, you're probably thinking the last thing you want to do is sit through 5 minutes of me showing you how to do a project that you have no use for. Consider this, however. Uses of quarter-inch plywood are vast. These are two other projects where I've used quarter-inch plywood, and the principles that I'll show you in this next little clip are the exact principles that you'll use to make these projects. Now, this is my attempt at an art installation using simple quarter-inch plywood attached to the wall using Velcro. How simple is that? The principles that I'll describe in a second are the same principles you'll use to do this. You basically cut the wood and you stain the wood, and you can apply it in whatever fashion you want. You don't even have to cut the wood yourself. You can have a representative at your big box home improvement store do it for you. And in my bedroom, I applied the same principles to my headboard. After building the bed, I applied the two tufted pillows to it using quarter-inch plywood topped with a cushion and then upholstered to make it look like the chaise lounge. I used a tufting technique, and I used Velcro to apply them to the back of the headboard. Very simple. Always remember, measure twice, cut once. I always like to cut the lengthwise, actually the shortwise first, so that when you cut the length, it's less of a distance. So we have 59 and 1/8, so 59 and 1/8. I mark here, mark it in the middle, mark it on the edge. And I go back, make sure that marking is correct. Use a straight edge and make your line. Measurements were originally taken from the top of the desk going edge to edge. It's also important to make a clean, clear line so that you can cut easier. Follow the line that you've made, and when in doubt, veer on the edge of cutting the thing longer than short, because you can always trim it down. Sand it on the edges because it's going to be on top of the desk. You want a rounded edge so it looks like a more finished edge using power tools or the manual method. Each works equally as great before staining. So the first thing I needed to do was to find a stain color, and I am notorious for mixing stains to get the right color. I put 3 different types of stains here. I've already mixed a couple of them together, and I think I'm going to go with this one on the right, which is the darkest. It's not a perfect match, but in this application, the light from the room is going to hit the top of the table, and it's going to diffuse this color a little bit to make it look like the legs. The legs will be more in shadow. They'll look darker anyway. And to be honest, I don't really like a lot of red in my stain. So I'm going to go with this one that has a little more brown tone to it. Now that I've completed the top, now all I have to do is put a little of this liquid nails. You can get it at any big box store to secure the top to the table. And I'll spread it out evenly. As you spread the glue out, pay particular attention to the corners and edges so that the top doesn't start to peel off at a later date. But if you have any excess glue, wipe it off immediately, as it can affect the staining process. I'm placing the top on the table and making sure it's flush on all sides. If there's any glue that comes out, you'll need to wipe that up. And if it starts to buckle on any of the edges, you want to put something heavy on it to secure it to the top for at least an hour. Earlier, this is my nail gun. It's really not a nail gun. It's a braider, which uses these tiny little finishing nails to secure things. You can use regular finishing nails, but they'll create larger holes. You'll see this just creates very small holes. Very, very small holes. But it keeps it secure. And I can fill in those little holes with wood fill very easily. Now it's time to stain. I always wear a glove because you will always undoubtedly get stain in your fingernails and on your fingers, no matter whether you wear a glove or not. I have an old sock. I know that's ghetto, but that's what I'm using to put the stain on. And another tip, always remember to stain in the direction of the wood. This is one coat. It took me less than 5 minutes. This is my favorite stain ever. I'm not trying to promote any company, but it's a great stain. I've been doing staining for years and years and years, and I've done multiple coats. I won't have to do any other coat but this one, and then polyurethane it. Okay, now I've waited the proper amount of time after the stain has fully dried. I sanded it down with 220 grit sandpaper very lightly, and then cleaned it off with a slightly damp cloth to clean off any debris. And now you have your, hopefully, China bristle or some other stain-worthy brush to use. Get your polyurethane, stir it, never shake it. You always have to stir it. And once it's done, then you just start to apply. I like to apply in the same direction. Everything should be in the same direction as the grain of the wood. A word to the wise about staining and polyurethaning is, don't look like you used a crayon to stain your projects. If it doesn't look like a piece of furniture that you'd buy in the store, then it's not done correctly. It's a very simple thing to do, but always get it wrong, mainly because they don't apply the stain evenly enough, and it just looks out of whack. But it's fairly simple to do. Like I said, I like that one coat brand. I'm not giving you the name brand, but you only apply one coat. And the thing about polyurethane and your stain is you want to apply very thin coats every time you do it. You don't lump it on and then let it dry. It's better to put on, and this is with any painting project or anything like that. You want to put it on in very thin coats, let it dry for 2 hours, lightly sand it, apply it again. I like to apply at least 3 coats to anything that I do because you're sure that it gets full coverage. And one trick that I use is no matter what the final finish is, I'm actually not doing it to this project, but most projects, no matter what the final finish is, I'll put on a higher level finish beforehand, meaning when you put a gloss coat on to begin with, once you get to your 3rd coat, you can put a satin coat or a semi-gloss coat. It just seems like it's coated better, and it gives you some depth in the color and the tone. And it's also more durable. And because this is a desk, you want it as durable as possible.
Remember what this desk used to look like? Well, now it's transformed into the following. A very handsome desk that looks better now than it did when I first purchased it.